Yo, what is up, my Hoorats and Hoonigans? This is RWD Loki here, bringing you a brand new, freshly updated Grand Theft Auto 5 drifting tutorial. Alright guys, so today's video we're going to be covering all the basics, all the rough basics that you need to know, everything you need to understand to get a very good foundation of GTA 5 drifting. So we're going to be going over a lot of terms, and this video is going to go relatively slow because I really wanted to make sure you guys, by the end of this video, you will know how to drift. There is no way, shape, or form, it's going to be impossible for you not to know how to drift after this video. If you speak English and you can hear and understand my voice right now as it's coming out the microphone, you will understand how to drift in GTA Online. I promise you. Well, I mean, if you still don't know how to drift, I can't help you any further, but you know, let's get right into it. So the first thing you guys are going to need to do before you even touch your car, before you even press that Y button, that triangle button, that whatever button you press to get into the car, you're going to need to go into that start menu first. Now, once you guys are in the start menu, you're going to go ahead and turn on and off some settings. Now, first thing you're going to do is turn on that vibration. Vibration is very important, especially on next gen with the new controllers. You will actually be able to feel when your car is shifting gears, which is extremely important for double clutching, which we'll go over later. Now, the most important setting for you to actually make sure you do change is to have your vehicle camera height set to high. This will actually let you have a lot more precise camera control and be able to see a lot more while you're driving sideways. Next up, we need to make sure that you are not using the alternate handbrake. We will be using RB, which is semi-important as well. Some people have had good experiences with A, but I'm trying to tell you right now, RB is the way to go. Next up after that, we got the headphones. I really highly suggest, I mean, for pretty much gaming in general, you should have some headphones, you know, but for real, for GTA 5 drifting, you're gonna need to listen to the sound of that car and be able to properly, you know, control it and all that stuff, but we'll get to that later. And last but not least, you might want to turn off your radar. This will help you stay less distracted. Honestly, I don't know what it is, but it helps me out a lot, and it kind of just looks cleaner. So go ahead and turn that off if you feel like it. So we're going to take a quick look at the actual hand positioning of players who are holding Xbox One controllers. Now, I have not had the pleasure of drifting on PlayStation 4, so I'm not sure whether you guys will need to adjust your hand positioning or not. But anyway, for those of you who are on Xbox One, normally you probably have your index finger on your right trigger. What you're going to need to do is bring that up and hold that on the RB, and bring your middle finger up. Bring your middle finger up and hold it on the right trigger. This is going to make the double clutching a lot easier. The clutch kick, whatever the hell you want to call it. Whatever you call it, is going to be a lot easier if you hold your hands like this. So, go ahead and try that. So before you go ahead and get behind the wheel of this faction, you're going to need to take a visit to the description down below and get the full build and setup for this vehicle. Now, I'm not going to cover that right now, but I need to let you guys know that you cannot put bulletproof tires on this car, or nothing I'm about to show you is about to work. So one last thing before we get into this car and start drifting, you're going to need to slam, lower, drop, stance, whatever you want to call it. You're going to need to go ahead and put about 27 shots of an assault rifle, 14 shots of a marksman, or about 5 of a heavy sniper, and you're going to take that and shoot below the center, below the middle, the lower half of the tire. You're going to go ahead and put those bullets in the tire. What it's going to do is kind of like break the suspension down. I'm not exactly sure what's going on in the coding, why this happens or why this is programmed this way, but long story short is, do this and your car is going to slide about 10 times farther, guys. A lot of you guys try and say, you know, oh, I don't stance my car for drifting, I don't lower my car for drifting. Listen, you're probably power sliding. Let's just be honest. Let's just be honest, real. So guys, go ahead and stance this car down, and we'll be ready to move on and get to sliding. Alright guys, so now that you got your hand positioning correct, you got your settings set up, and you slammed and stanced your car, you got the good build on it, what we're going to go over now is oversteer and countersteer. Now what oversteer is basically, if I'm taking a left turn as I'm about to right now, you're going to see my hand positioning is going to exaggerate that motion. It's basically an over exaggerated turn. So if I'm taking a left, I'm just going to over exaggerate that motion and go excessively left. I mean, I can't really explain it any simpler than that. It's just excessive turning. Now countersteer on the other hand is the exact opposite. If I'm taking a left turn, I'm going to turn right. I'm gonna just excessively turn right. Now those two terms I'm gonna be using a lot, guys, so make sure you understand that. So now you guys are gonna need to take another quick visit to the description for a fully detailed, in-depth tutorial on double clutching. I'm gonna quickly go over it here. Now double clutching, granny shifting, clutch kick, whatever the hell you wanna call it, is basically when your car is switching to third gear, you're gonna release the gas and apply the handbrake. Now you can watch and see the gauges on my left. As soon as my car switches and almost goes into third, I'm just gonna release the gas, apply the handbrake, and then just apply the gas one more time. As you saw there, my car gained a lot of speed. You see I'll get wheel spin as well. So make sure you check the description for the fully in-depth tutorial on that. Otherwise, I'm not gonna go too far into it. Go check that description though. Alright, so now we are on the track and we're almost ready to finally start doing some drifting. Now one last thing you're going to need to understand is twerking the wheel, which is a combination of oversteer and countersteer. So what you're going to do is just basically alternate between over and countersteer. As you can see on the wheel on my right, my hand is just going back and forth, switching between over and countersteer. Now the faster you do this, if you see my steering wheel, the faster I'm doing it, the closer I'm going to get to this object or whatever I'm doing. Now when you guys are mid-drift or whatever you're doing, if you're approaching a corner or something like that, you're doing simple donuts. Simple rule, the faster you twerk the wheel, the tighter the donut. Not the tighter the donut, but the tighter the radius. The tighter the radius of your drift. You see if I start to slow things down, I'm starting to widen out, and I actually do go ahead and spin out. Now that is the number one most important thing, guys. As you're learning, you will crash. You're gonna spin out, you're gonna crash every day, you're gonna crash and spin out and crash and spin out. It's part of the learning experience. You got to go through it. Everybody go through it. I still go through it to this day. So we're going to move on and try a little bit more of an advanced technique. Now all we're going to do is simply add in some handbrake. We're going to be just twerking the wheel, our countersteer, oversteer, just full gas, and we're going to add in some handbrake. What that handbrake is going to do is almost give like half of the boost that we would normally get from the double clutch. It's not the exact same. We're not releasing our gas at all. If you see my tire marks, all we're doing is simply tapping the handbrake, just the lightest subtle tap of your handbrake, and that'll cause you to gain a lot more speed, as you see here, and you'll be able to wrap around larger corners, larger obstacles, or just larger donuts in this case. So keep in mind, you don't want to be on the handbrake every 3 seconds, and this is not the same as a double clutch. Like I said, it's only a half, so you will have to learn and get used to this. So now we're going to move on and we're going to learn how to transition as well as double clutch mid-drift. Now the double clutch mid-drift is as easy as letting go of your gas before you apply the handbrake. So before, in the technique we were using before with the wider donut, just remove your finger off the gas and apply the handbrake and just reapply your hand on the gas. That's all you have to do. So basically you'll be double clutching mid-drift and you'll be able to get a lot more power where you need it when you're drifting and doing transitions, as we can see here. Now if you look at my steering control, I am twerking the wheel, as well as on my transitions I am just going to oversteer into the corner, and you can see then I apply the countersteer in order to wrap myself around my obstacle. So as I'm doing that, as I'm oversteering and I go to countersteer, I'm just gonna go ahead and apply the handbrake usually, and that's gonna get me to double clutch and get me enough speed to carry me around and through the objects. So simply, really, it's harder for me to explain. It's a lot easier for you to just look at the top right and you can see exactly what's going on with my handbrake and my steering and all that other good stuff. But I'm gonna go ahead and crash. Like I said, guys, it's a learning experience. You gotta go through it. Alright, so now applying all the techniques we have learned from our small donut, wide donut, and our figure eight, we're going to go ahead and hit a simple entry. Now basically all I'm doing is approaching the corner, I'm hitting my double clutch, gaining as much speed as I possibly can. Now what you're going to go ahead and do is a simple weight transfer by countersteering outwards and oversteering into your corner. You're going to weight transfer and do a whole bunch of scientific stuff that I don't exactly understand, but basically you're going to weight transfer into the corner, and the forward momentum you gain from the start is going to still pull your car forward. Now as you steer the opposite direction, the momentum you have is still going to pull you forward. Now this is exactly the definition of a drift: to intentionally throw your car, to intentionally break the traction and use that momentum to be able to apply the power to get the tires to spin and carry your car sideways and drift. Now, that's probably one of the hardest things I've ever had to try and explain. It's something you really just feel out, guys. I can't really explain every single aspect of drifting to you. It just has to be learned. It has to be experienced. You have to go out there, get in your car, put in the time, put in the effort, and if you're genuinely interested in drifting, the skills will come. You know, it's not that hard to really honestly get into drifting. It's really something fun that you should try to at least try. Give it your best effort, and I promise you'll have fun in the process. Alright guys, so that's all I got for you today as far as the basics goes. So I would highly suggest that you guys start off in the faction, but in the future videos we will be moving on to the rapid GT you see right here. You guys can go ahead and try and pick it up if you get, you know, too far with the faction and you feel like, you know, you're ready to move on bigger and badder things. Go ahead and slide the rapid GT. There'll be links in the description. Honestly, if you go through this video without checking the description, you're not getting all the information that you need to be getting. So definitely go check out the description, and lots of drift tutorials and all this other stuff coming out soon. So make sure you stay subscribed for that, like the video, share, blah blah blah. Questions, comments, you know, the whole spiel. I think that's it. I think I'm out. Peace.